Hey YouTube, Coppersan here. Today I'm back on MapleStory Worlds to play Southperry, a classic roguelike version of MapleStory. I saw Togain play this and it looked super fun, so I was like, I gotta share this with everyone that I know because this is actually great. Especially if you're an old school player, as it also is a huge trip down memory lane. When you start the game, you can choose to be a regular thief, a dexless assassin, pirate, mage or warrior. Each have their own specialities and skills. Mages, for example, get a skill to boost their EXP and drop rate, while warriors get a special mobbing attack that also gives them 1 second of invincibility. In Southperry, each time you level up on an even level, so level 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, you will unlock a new passive buff. And this can be anything from more defense to HP, to making your projectiles explode, buff your monster collection and so forth. You can go crazy with special builds, focus on your strengths, or take more risks and, for example, remove the option to recover HP when you level up to get more passive stats instead. You can also get new skills by finding equipment. These will sometimes have skills. Gloves can, for example, get Dragon Roar, shoes can get mobility skills, hats can get debuffs, and your weapon determines your attacking skill. And this is also where the fun and strategizing comes in, because do you try and go for a full projectile build and trying to get passive buffs for that? And it doesn't matter if you pick the warrior, mage or thief, everyone can equip all equipment, so you can really mix and match everything. For example, in my latest run, I wanted to be a mage, but I kept finding weapons with Aaron attacks. Man, those old Aaron skills, they take me way back. I can't believe this class was actually considered insane back in the day. Look at how measly this looks. Also, I got a buff for attacks if I use a normal weapon and use like a swing animation. So my mage is a warrior now, I guess. And I also found the old drain skill from the Night of Sickness, from the Night Walker. You can really go crazy with everything, but you also have to keep in mind that if you equip a mage weapon with low or no weapon attack, your, for example, Dragon War skill won't do that much damage as that scales with weapon attack. But you can also find Genesis, so it's whatever. Oh, and if you die, you can revive once after paying currency, but after that, it's game over. Then you have to start all over again. Monsters do drop potions sometimes, but they loot instantly, so you gotta be careful. And if you are going to try this out, I recommend starting as a mage, because you'll get some passive EXP and drop rate. I also found that that fire skill from the old Corsair is really awesome, because it sets monsters on fire and then you deal damage over time, which is pretty great, especially if you're weak early on. But you can also become an assassin if you like, it just depends on what you find. And it's also helpful to combine some skills like shout and single target attacks. Shout stuns monsters, I believe, for like 10 seconds, so you can safely hit them from a distance without getting attacked back. I actually found Hurricane, which is even more awesome, even though it's really slow, the old school version, because on this playthrough, on my next level up, I also got the explosive projectile passive, so now all my arrows that I shoot are arrow bombs. That's like the every old school archer's wet dream. But sadly, this run was cut short by a boss that murdered me. Every 10 levels you gotta find a boss, and sadly this character just didn't make it. I guess my exploding stream of arrows wasn't enough to defeat this one. My other run was also short-lived, but I built a warrior who used Band of Thieves from Chief Bandits, Avengers from Night Lords, and I dabbed a little bit into magic. But sadly he also didn't make it that far. In this game you can also find ores when playing. Monsters just drop them regularly. Those can then be carried outside of the game, and you can use them to craft additional items with skills that you will get before you start. There's also a daily store where you can get items as well. Also, your character can be leveled up for a greater stat boost and additional skill unlocks. For example, my warrior is now level 5 and he heals 50 HP each time he defeats a monster, which opens up more risky builds. So in this video I want to show a bit of a fun build that I did, and I had a very successful run where I actually reached level 70 and was able to finish the character thanks to a special drop. But first about that really fun build. In this game you can also get the Snail Throw beginner skill. Skills can be leveled up as well, by the way, but I crafted the beginner axe with the level 3 snail shell skill before I entered the run. You can also get a passive skill that upgrades your snail skill so it can crit and it hits multiple targets. Then there's also something called the monster Codex in this game, where you have a chance to collect monsters if you defeat them. There's a passive for this Codex as well, where every time you collect a monster, you'll upgrade your snail shell skill to deal more damage. And I had one run where I was just focusing on this. And then I also got the exploding projectile passive buff with this one. So at one point I was throwing maximum velocity exploding snail shells at monsters for like 6k damage each. I collected like 75 monsters this run, but unfortunately it again was cut short at level 50 by this annoying boss. And like the absolute pro YouTuber that I am, I only filmed a little bit during this run, so sorry, it's like on level 30 and then I die by the boss. Great stuff. I really recommend going for the full snail shell build though, that's like really fun. You get really strong once you collect enough monsters. Oh, and by the way, quick tip, if you are playing, if you dash and then hold the arrow key like the left or right key and then the down key, like tap it, you will do mini jumps, which is really good for movement. So about the run that I actually completed. In this game, you can also spawn elite monsters by walking over mouse traps. These elites have a chance to drop gear, including one very unique item. I actually got a wizard hat, which gave 999 all stats. I also had a dragon roar glove, so I really felt like a real GM. During this run, I also got monster magnet pretty early on, which is also such a throwback. Back then, warriors had like no mobility. It was either monster magnet or quickly hopping onto a mount to walk faster, or just using a red whip. And even though I was severely underleveled, I didn't have any problem, for example, fighting this evil alien thief Coppersan. Once I got the Fire Poison Mage explosion skill, it was game over for the monsters. I then focused my passive on getting more range on that skill, which made grinding extremely easy, and thanks to the gem hat that I had, I could one-shot everything. And then to top it off, I found Genesis gloves from another evil UFO Coppersan. With the additional range, I could just one-shot the entire screen. I was going through the Anton, this thing just never fails to amaze me like how big it actually is. You have to go through so many maps before you finally get to that drop-down map with the evil eyes and the boogies. I kind of forgot like half of the maps that were in there. The level 60 boss during this run is that pain in the ass boss, but thanks to Genesis and Demolition, I was able to already take off a good chunk of his health before he started to become a problem. And thankfully we were so strong that we actually were able to defeat him pretty easily. This guy is without a doubt the reason why 90% of my runs actually end. I did a bit more grinding in the end tunnel until I reached the tunnel that lost light with all the drakes. However, somehow I hit ping B as I saw a HP bar appear, but I never actually saw the boss man himself. I never actually upgraded my gear thanks to this OP hat. You also have various scrolls that you can use. For example, there are scrolls that level up the skills of the items or raise the item stat. There are skill scrolls or scrolls that make you not whack enemies when they get too close with your bows, crossbows and claws. There is a whole meta with upgrading as well, which becomes quite important at one point, especially around level 50 mark, I'd say. The final boss that we fought at level 70 was a bit tougher, but honestly nothing that the gem hat couldn't handle. And within 53 minutes I reached level 70 and completed the run. You can get even higher level, but then you'll have more penalties applied. If you're just starting out, I recommend just going for max level 70 and just try and do a few runs that way. Seriously though, this game is so much fun. The runs are not too long and the build combinations make every run just super fun. I will probably be streaming this game soon as this is just the perfect streaming game. I highly recommend you check this one out in MapleStory Worlds, a link in the description. And that's all I had for today. If you are playing, hope you have fun, hope you find a gem hat for some easy runs. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, special thanks to our members for making these videos possible. Special thanks to Niels de Comic, Rama Waar, Sebastian Hanoi, Cowdy Mora, Wine Lee, Backspace OTI, Ziggy Deer, Flidiot, Knifesu, Cloudfix, Michael Menchaka, Ratius, Betrayal 1489, Silvio Nato, Striker Elk, Ricer RU, Max Bernhardt, The Passenger, Scotty Flies Fast, Only, Spatsty, Snafu Pop, Dewey Tran, Cunny Woo, Domi Kirch Nehammer, Dex Zoo, Dante Victory, The Wolf Drake, Lord Fazil, Mathenu Dev, Tails Kurspet, DVNCA, and Schwandro. Thank you all so much for watching.